Hi, welcome to the meeting of the Board of Selectmen of the Town of Wakefield of September 29th, 2014. I'd like to, first thing we'd like to do is get an approval of our minutes from our last meeting. Can I get a motion for 15 minutes? Moved by Paul, seconded by
Second.
Pat. All in favor?
Aye.
Abstain, please.
You abstain, okay. All right. The second thing is we had an executive session last time, and we need to approve the minutes that were circulated regarding the executive session. So can I get a motion to approve the executive?
So moved. Second.
Moved by Paul, second by Pat. All in favor?
Aye.
Abstain, please.
Abstain. Okay. Next item on the agenda, public participation. I think we had one person on there. Janice Bambury. Would you like to come up and speak?
I'm really an observer, but I signed because I thought Mr. Mayo said if I was wanting to speak, but I'm not speaking.
Okay, all right. In case there's any confusion, anybody else here for public participation before we move on? Okay. All right, thank you. The next item is we have a proclamation. Come on up, Jack Roach, the Grand Knight of the Knights of Columbus. Come on up and have a seat at the table.
Come on up here.
Sure, just have a seat right there, it's fine. Do you guys want to?
I have with
Go
me
ahead
past
first.
Grand Night, Bob Curran with me. It's basically to announce that Columbus Day weekend, starting that Thursday, Knights of Columbus will be out soliciting monies for our charities. And in return for the community, we do pass out our little Tootsie Rolls. So basically, we're asking to, for the okay to be there for the weekend of Christopher Columbus Day weekend.
Okay, great, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Cause, and we do have a proclamation, there's a resolution signed by all the members of the Board of Selectmen. Basically it says that whereas the Knights of Columbus, Wakefield Council number 104 have undertaken the humane project of assisting physically handicapped children and those with intellectual disabilities, and whereas the local councils of the Knights of Columbus will be conducting their annual Tootsie Roll campaign October 9th through 13th, 2014. Proceeds of this endeavor are being channeled exclusively for this worthy humanitarian program, and whereas this campaign will consist of the distribution of Tootsie Rolls to obtain voluntary donations and will be conducted in various shopping areas and retail business areas in Wakefield. Now, therefore, we, the Board of Selectmen of the Town of Wakefield, in a meeting assembled on Monday, September 29th, do hereby designate the weekend of October 9th through the 13th, 2014, as Knights of Columbus Days for the Exceptional and Handicapped Children. So, signed by all members of the Board of Selectmen. So,
Thank you very much.
you guys can take the proclamation on behalf of the board. Congratulations, good luck with the campaign this year. Alrighty, thanks a lot. We'll
Good
see you.
luck.
Thank you all.
Thanks.
Take care.
Okay, next item on the agenda, we have a public hearing scheduled to start in 3 minutes. With that, I think we'll jump through some of our other items on the agenda. I don't think we can start before 7:35, so.
Considering they're not here.
The request from Sean Conway of the Wakefield Track and Field Booster Club to have the Frozen Frolic Road Race on Saturday, December 6, 2014, at 12:45 p.m. until 3 p.m. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Betsy, second by Paul. All in favor?
Aye.
Yes, sir.
Can I just make one comment on that?
Yes, please.
And on behalf of the Event Planning Committee, this is the same day as the holiday stroll. So the hope is that this event will run right into it, no pun intended.
Unintended.
And they will have their award ceremony on the library steps, if I'm not
That's right.
mistaken. They will be registering for the race near the town hall in the upper common, away from the, towards the Rockaway, away from the memorial. But I think it's a nice way to get people in the downtown
That's great.
areas. So that's what we're thinking. If any board member has any issues with that, come see me and we'll mark out the space.
Okay.
Okay.
Hope it's not too cold. It's early enough.
It's gonna be cold.
Great.
Frozen frolic.
Frozen frolic.
I will skip the traffic advisory items because they look a little lengthy, so we'll jump down to 6D in our agenda. Request from John McCarthy, the town treasurer, to transfer $2,370,000 thereabouts from the town's capital projects account to the general fund so that the bond due November 15th, 2014 can be paid. That bond is the Woodville bond, principal due in the amount of $923,000, interest in the amount of just under $95,000. The senior center, principal $114,000, interest just over $9,900, and Dole Bear, principal $502,000, interest $38,390. Woodville, principal balance of $33,000 and interest of $2,350 thereabout. Galvin School, principal of $445,000 with interest of just under $208,000.
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Moved by Betsy, second by Paul, all in favor?
Aye. Mr. Chairman, may I make a motion that we go into a public hearing to discuss the Jeffrey's Liquors, scheduled for 7:35, liquor store, package store license?
Yes.
Second the motion.
All right, moved by Betsy, second by Pat. All in favor on a roll call, please. Phyllis?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Okay, great. Mr. McCarthy?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the record, Michael McCarthy, offices McCarthy and Wakefield. With me is Mr. Patel, Vasudev Patel, and Ray Wormstead is also here. Would you guys privacy? Mr. Patel is the prospective purchaser through
Great.
his chin, and Mr. Wormstead is the seller through his corporation of Jeffrey's Package Store, 354 Main Street. Mr. Chairman, just a couple of items just to complete the package. There's a 10-year employment history for Mr. Patel, and there's a query request from Mr. Patel's partner, and I have a corporate vote, which is a requirement of the ABCC package to pro forma materials, but required nonetheless. So that's that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Patel has indicated through his entity is the prospective KVP Inc. is the prospective purchaser of what's known as Jeffrey's Package Store at 354 Main Street. The package which was submitted to you tonight shows the asset purchase agreement as well as a lease. So it's important to note that KVP would not be the owner of the building. The owner of the building is North Hill Realty Trust. But it's also important to note that the KVP is proposing some improvements to the building, both to the facade as well as to the interior, including the addition of some new windows, new signage, and a renovated interior. So that's part of the package. There is a lease deal that's worked out with North Hill Realty Trust, which includes those improvements. So the lessor is bound to those improvements, and the lessee is committed to making those improvements as well. With respect to the particulars of the deal, you have the prospective, you have the actual asset purchase agreement in there, as well as a draft of the lease. It's an asset purchase. The financing terms are disclosed in the package. We've supplied 4 months of account statements. They've been submitted. There's a financing commitment from Rockland Trust. That's that are behind the deal and are fully disclosed as required by the ABCC. I went over the improvements that will be made. In terms of Mr. Patel's qualifications, I've submitted the application includes a personal statement, but I also submitted his 10-year history. He has an interest in a convenience store in Winchester. He's a liquor licensee in Andover as the manager. There's no history of any discipline or suspensions. That's a Richdale convenience store in Andover. He's got a beer and wine license there. He also manages and is a part owner of a convenience store and a tobacco smoke shop in Somerville. Again, no compliance issues, no issues there. He's a citizen of the United States. He's a naturalized citizen. He has a long history, as is indicated in the package, as a successful businessman. He has the financial wherewithal to support this application and this proposal, as is indicated in the package. And as the board is aware, the question is whether he is a person of good character, as that statute is, as that term is used in the liquor licensing statutes. And he has been approved previously as a manager by the ABCC, so there was no issue there. There have been no issues, as I just indicated, since his initial approval. So we would submit to you that he's a very qualified very qualified applicant and would be a benefit to the town as a businessman, and would, I expect to make some substantial improvements to the structure as it's, as we're all currently aware, would be helpful for the town. Mr. Wormstead has been the owner of Jeffries since 1987. He's interested now in retiring out of the business. He too has a long history of compliance and no issues as an owner. So, I think that there's a tradition and a history at this location of success and being good corporate citizens. The board looks favorably on the application and would be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Members? Betsy?
For you, Mr.
Pat?
Chairman, to town council, what is the exact wording of the motion that you would like made? Is it a transfer?
Yeah, I think we'd want to approve the transfer of the liquor license as requested.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second?
Second.
Second for.
Second by Phyllis. And Pat, you want to speak on the motion?
Just a question to town council. So what we see is, it looks like an abstract to the P&L. In the agreement, is it written out that they have to make the improvements to the facade and everything, or is that just a handshake?
I haven't previously seen the purchase and sale agreement.
It's in the lease.
Perhaps Attorney
If I
McCarthy
may,
can speak to
yeah,
that.
there are provisions in the lease, the copy of which you have, which commit the landlord contributions to the improvements. Specifically, there are specific references to, on the north wall of the building, which is the facade toward the Wakefield Cooperative Bank, there'll be some new windows installed there. There'll be other work on the other windows. There'll be some interior renovations or reference, including removing a demising wall inside. There'll be the installation of a new, HVAC system where really none exists presently. There'll be some utility work done as well. So there's actually some fairly substantial work planned.
Nothing to the front of it, though?
There likely will be, because one of the issues, actually one point that I wanted to raise was that it's known, and the application indicates that it'll be DBA, as it is now, Jeffries Package Store.
Yep.
It may well be, and I should
Yep.
make reference for the record that may change to Andy's Package Store. But in any event, I think there's gonna be some improvements to the signage. That is not something that's referenced specifically in the lease as an obligation of anybody, but there's a lot of other work that's.
Jeffries has been a good corporate citizen for many years. It's, there's a history with the owner of that property, but it's completely aside from tonight's discussion.
Yeah,
So
there is, I agree, it is, but to your point.
So it's
yeah,
tenant improvement dollars that have been allotted per this lease?
Through the lease.
Okay.
Okay, any other comments? We're good? Okay, I'd just like to add before we take a vote, obviously, we're trying to, welcome, assuming this is favorable, I have a sense that without much comments here, that it will be. Welcome to our town and to our downtown. Make yourself aware right out of the gate of the things that are going on downtown, the things we're trying to accomplish, and the fact that we're taking great strides wherever we can to make improvements on every block downtown, and any role you can play in helping us voluntarily to improve the look and feel and the facades in our downtown of your own, and hopefully you've cut a good deal with your landlord to help that out as well. It will really go a long way. So we'll be watching closely. This is the kind of thing where if it were legal for us to, condition an approval of this sort on, some sort of upgrades and things like that, we would have. But we can't. So we just hope that as we welcome you to our community as a good corporate citizen, as has been said, you've done a great job in the past. Just would love to see anything that can be done to help improve that building. It's only when things, are changing voluntarily when you have an opportunity to make the improvement. Once things get set, it's hard to go back and ask somebody to change something that was done. But you're about to make changes there. If you want any help, design help, opinions, look, feel, anything like that, we have a sign committee, a sign officer who can come and help, things like that. So there's a lot of resources in town. Our town planner, Mr. Wbos, would be happy to help you out. So we just want to extend a hand to help anybody that wants to help us improve our downtown. So take that to heart, and hopefully it's something you act upon when you get going. But other than that, you're welcome and appreciate it. So, all right.
Thank you.
So can I get a vote, or do we need anything else? Do we-
I think I
Did you
made a
need
motion
something?
to accept it.
Yeah, there was a motion and it was seconded, so I'd like
I
to.
seconded, yeah.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman? I
Yes.
think you also, because of the location,
Oh, that's
you
right.
need a
Second
separate
vote.
finding.
The second vote, because of the proximity of the liquor store to a church, we need to make a finding that the issuance of the license is not detrimental to the educational and spiritual activities of school within 500 feet of the licensed premises. So, can I get a motion to that
So
effect?
moved.
Second.
Okay, second. Before, I think I was remiss in the last one, since this isn't a public hearing, I did not ask the public for comment on the last motion. Any public comment on this motion? Okay, good, thank you. All in favor? Aye. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
You're all set, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Mr. Falvey, I'd like to make a motion to go out of that public hearing.
Second.
All right, Betsy, second by Pat.
Aye.
Yes. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that public hearing is now closed. With that, I'll entertain a motion to enter or open up our second public hearing regarding Massimo's Ristorante.
So moved.
Moved by Betsy, second by,
Second.
who wants it? Phyllis. All right. Phyllis, roll call, please.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Aye.
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 Open the hearing for Massimo's Ristorante, hearing for an all-alcohol liquor license.
Morning, morning, evening,
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman,
That kind of day, huh?
members of the board. My name is Michael Reardon, I'm here with Nancy Turco. We're here on behalf of Massimo's Incorporated in their application for a new liquor license, malt and wine. The premises is a 1,600 square foot space. It has a kitchen, dining room, one entrance, one exit, 2 bathrooms, and seating for up to 50 people. They have been open for 2 weeks now, and we hope that you would approve their application. Their entertainment is strictly television and radio, so there'll be no live music. And we hope that you would approve them.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the application for Massimo's Restaurant at 19 Center Street.
19 Center Street.
19 Center Street in
For
Wakefield.
discussion.
Okay,
Mr.
so
Chairman,
moved by Betsy, second by Paul. I think you'd like to speak. Go ahead.
I wish you all the best of luck, but just for clarification, we heard 2 different things, all alcohol and then wine and malt beverages. Which one are you
Yeah.
seeking?
Did I
You
say-
said
No,
wine,
I
yeah.
apologize, it's malt and wine.
It's malt
Beer
and wine only?
strictly,
Okay, I
yes.
just wanna make sure that, we're okay,
I
that's fine.
apologize for that.
I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
Hear a lot of good things from, Everett, was it Malden?
Malden,
Malden.
Everett, and Chelsea.
So, look forward to knocking on the door and seeing how things are inside.
Thanks.
Okay,
Just
Pat,
one,
go ahead.
Just one quick question. You planning on having Keno or anything like that in there?
No.
That's all I wanted to know.
Oh, bye.
Okay, anybody else want to speak? Public, anybody from the public want to speak on the Massimo's or a license? Okay. With that, we have a motion before us. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that's unanimous. Second to that, can I get a motion again here where we make a finding that the issuance of the license is not detrimental to the educational and spiritual activities of schools or churches within 500 feet of the licensed premises?
So moved.
Moved by Paul, second by Pat. Public, any comments on that aspect? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. That's unanimous. Welcome, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Now, good evening.
Yeah,
Mr. Chairman,
Good
I'd like to
finish.
make a motion that we leave this public hearing.
thank you
please.
very much.
Second.
Moved by Betsy, second by Pat. Phyllis for a roll call.
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Aye.
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 Okay. We're now out of our public hearing, and we'll resume our stuff. The next item on our agenda was a discussion about the possible revocation of a Class II license of TBI Auto Sales. Do we need to do that one at 8? Is that another one at 8? Okay. So we have 10 minutes before that one. All right, let's take the Traffic Advisory Committee matter. Is anybody here from the Traffic Advisory Committee, or would you like to speak to it, Steve?
Sure, these are, there's 3 issues in front of you for the Traffic Advisory Committee this evening. These were all recommendations by the Board of Selectmen, requests, particularly Selectwoman Hull, for a stop sign on Chestnut Street where it intersects with Main. Traffic Advisory looked at that and considered that a good recommendation. The second one is as you come out of what is now the new Santander Bank and you take a right onto Chestnut Street. From that that driveway, we would like to move at least 10 feet off, no parking, because if there is a car there, you've got to swing out into the oncoming traffic. And they thought that was another excellent idea. And as you go farther down Chestnut Street to number 26, same thing on the other side, 10 feet down there, because that was blocking that person's driveway too. Traffic Advisory Committee had the meeting on Friday, September 19th, duly posted. There were no members of the community that came to this, but I think we can all feel that this is the recommendation and a good one of the Traffic Advisory Committee.
Okay, I think we need 3 separate votes on that. Before I start rolling through the votes, anybody want to comment on any of these? Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a comment, not on these 3, any of these 3 specifically, but having received a call about a particular issue that happened in town that we voted on, I would like to let the public, Traffic Advisory Committee meets, they post the meeting. That's the first thing, and the public can go and make comments during that meeting. It then gets referred to us, where it's posted on our agenda as well. It's on our website, it's posted at Town Hall,
Right.
so the people could come and make comments at our meeting, if need be, during any kind of a public participation or to address this issue. So these don't just come to us out of the blue without any kind of input.
Yeah, good point.
And I'd just like to let the public know that.
Right, and the Board of Selectmen's represented on the Traffic Advisory
Yes,
Committee as well.
exactly,
So,
exactly.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the installation of a stop sign on Chestnut Street where it intersects with Main Street.
okay.
Second.
Second by Betsy. All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that let's see, there be a no parking sign on Chestnut Street adjacent to Santander Bank, 10 feet to the east and 10 feet to the west of the exit, south side of the street.
That's gonna be a big help.
Second.
Moved by Pat, second by Betsy. All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that,
Or should I wait?
let's see, exit from the parking Chestnut Street. No parking sign also be posted 10 feet to the east and 10 feet to the west of the exit, south side of the street,
Second.
of Chestnut Street, sorry.
I apologize, second.
Second by Betsy. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That's great. That is resolved. Okay. We'll move forward with our agenda. I believe we left off at 6E as an echo. Request from William Walsh of the Harry E. Nelson American Legion Post 63 for the American Legion to sell, quote, buddy puppies in the town of Wakefield from October 17th through November 11th, 2004.
Second.
Moved by Pat, seconded by whoever we want to pick, Paul. And all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that's great. Next item is, let's see, we've got 7 minutes here. So Tarrant Lane, the Coast Guard property as we know it, is, some sort of disposition will be occurring there, and I think Jim Scott was here to speak on that. Come on up, Mr. Scott. How are you?
So then today told me we wanted to put the senior housing, right? Housing up there.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Several weeks ago, I was reading the item, an article about the Coast Guard property up on Hopkins Street, and I can remember that property very well when there was nothing there before 128 and after 128. And I'd like to see happen is that surplus land, and the federal government, from my understanding, is auctioning it off. And I feel Wakefield should have a good shot of that, not at an auction. They should give it to the town of Wakefield. They probably took it by eminent domain, and back then, they pay hardly anything for it with eminent domain. Then they revised that law, and it was people got, fair market value at the time. I was very active in the Civic Center, which was the Army, when we got that from the state for $1. I was very friendly with the governor, Michael Dukakis. In fact, he used to come here and we used to jog around the lake. So, to me, that property up there is 2.5 acres. It's 11 buildings, houses will probably be torn down, they're slab jobs. But I feel Wakefield should have some say in what goes there. And I think if we went to our 2 senators, possibly one, because he lives right here in Malden, and he's there, I guess. But I think we should really look into that, and it should be given to the town, or for $1. And it's probably uncharted area that we're talking about, but I'm sure these things have happened. It happened right here in the state, right here in Wakefield with our Civic Center, which was a great asset to the town of Wakefield. And I feel that the federal government should actually give this to the town. I rest my case.
Okay, I think
The soul of brevity.
Excellent.
we appreciate that,
Yeah.
especially with an imminent kickoff. No, I think it's an interesting point. I mean, it's a substantial piece of land in the town. We've been, it's been our neighbor for forever, and you make a good point. I think we ought to look into it formally. So, Steve, do you have any? Sorry, Betsy. Do you?
That's okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Betsy. You can-
I spoke with Jimmy on the phone last week, he called me. And I apologize for waking you up at 6:45 the next morning, returning the call, but I'm an early riser. And after reading Mr. Revis's report, which is going to be presented to us later tonight, and having spent 12 years on the Wakefield Housing Authority, it occurred to me that the Nike site, Tarrant Lane, the old Nike site, so we all know where we're talking
Yeah.
about, these slab houses. I'm not sure if we took any of it by eminent domain. I don't know that.
I don't think the town did, but
I don't know.
I'm sure
Well,
the
that's what I'm
federal
saying. I
government-
don't know. I also don't know if any section of it might be in Reading. That much I don't know. But I was
I
thinking,
don't think it is.
I don't
I
know.
think it's all within.
Okay, it's all in Wakefield?
it's all in
But I was thinking that a solution to this might be, since we're not in the, quote, real estate business per se, would be to hand this information, this project over to the Wakefield Housing Authority. Because the Wakefield Housing Authority could go after any federal funds or any federal gifts to us. And also, we're going to reach, after this report tonight, 8% of the affordable housing, and we have a 10% cap to reach, or you can go over it, but we have to reach the 10% in town, and perhaps with the housing authority, working with whatever funds or any people that they may be, they're working with constantly because we have federal housing here in town, they may be able to get that for little or nothing, or get a grant of some sort to purchase the property and provide the people in Wakefield here that can't afford sometimes to stay in their own homes for some affordable housing that might help them out so that they can remain in the community, but they wouldn't have the full effect of maybe a 4 or 5 bedroom house that they may be in now. That might be a help all around. You know what I mean? And then we don't lose it from
a
this
good point.
community. Do you know what I'm saying? We don't lose it from this community. We don't lose control of it per se.
What I would hate to see is another monstrosity built up in that area. That area is overbuilt now.
No, I understand what you're saying, Jimmy, but I'm thinking that, I'm thinking that the housing authority who has dealt with down in Nellie Street.
Oh, yeah.
We own property down
Yeah.
there, to help people out in this community. And it isn't publicized per se, but I just was wondering if we could, possibly hand
that's a
this
good
over
point.
to the pros on the housing authority.
I think that's a great idea. I think we ought to.
Have a little pocket park right beside it, a little open space. It's sort of a dirty word to the developers in town, but it'd be kind of nice to have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a great idea, and we should refer it over to them. I don't know, Steve, if you want to.
Yeah, we can certainly do that, and they have a few years ago, they actually were very instrumental in getting federal funds for the new building at Harts Hill. Very
I
well.
credit Freddie Confalone for that.
Yeah.
He fought for that for years, and he did get it. It came out beautifully.
Does anybody know what's the status of that right now? Is the last I heard, some department in the federal government, was it Department of Housing?
Actually, the Coast Guard has a designee, has someone who's in charge of this site. They're planning on going out to bid. I'm looking at our town planner. We have nothing new. We've been in touch with them, but no, there's nothing new from them at this point. But I think we can strike and see what happens.
I also think we ought to, in parallel, take a look at it, just in general as the town, maybe talk to Markey or somebody like
Yeah,
that, and see
exactly.
if there's, if there's, before it gets thrown out to bid for the general public and, another Apple Door, or whatever the latest name is of that apartment development is up there, before the next iteration of that, buys the land and builds another building.
Yeah,
Maybe we could.
I'd like to see it's proactive.
Yeah, the federal government hasn't moved terribly fast, and it makes it very easy to slow them down even further. So if we want to buy some time, it might even be smart while we investigate our options, so.
Okay? Yep.
I think it's in the public interest of the town of Wakefield to, step up to the plate on this.
Yeah, I think we will.
Good,
Thank you.
very good.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Scott.
Thanks, Jim.
Thanks a lot, good to see you.
Better, as they say, better be seen than viewed.
Always. Beats the alternative to me. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to go in, I'm sorry.
You go ahead.
Go
Right on time.
Right on time.
Go right ahead.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we go into the hearing for the possible revocation of the Class 2 license, TBI Auto Sales.
Second.
Moved by Betsy, second by Paul, all in favor with a roll call?
Yes.
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 Aye.
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 Okay, we are now in our public meeting. I think we'll start this, our public hearing. I think we'll start this, Steve, do you have the information on this matter to present to the board?
Sure. A little bit of history. On June 17th of 2013, an application was received from Maria Jezabel Vidal Demora Donald for a Class 2 license for TBI Auto Sales. And they were told they had needed supplies with the bond. In June of 2013, mailed a letter advising that, again, that we need a copy of their bond for their license. June 24th, the Board of Selectmen voted to issue the Class 2 license to TBI Auto Sales. This is still in 2013. As this board may recall, in 2013, we voted not to renew the Class 2 license due to a customer complaint, and I think that was a pretty lengthy hearing at that time. In January 13th, the board voted to reinstate the Class 2 license, that's 2014 now, based on the fact that Mr. Donald came in, following the rules and what he was doing there. Then we fast forward to this summer, and in July, we emailed Mr. Donald requesting that he contact our office regarding the non-existent bond. Again in July, Sherry emailed stating, we received an email stating the bond had expired. Again in July, we emailed Mr. Donald saying that we needed the bond and that he needed to supply us with the current bond or the license would be suspended. Certified letter was sent out in August. In the middle of August, we heard that the company had found a bond company and that he was waiting for the bond to be mailed to him. We again told them the license is not valid since we do not have their bond. They stated once they receive the bond, they'll get it into us. In this September, finally, after waiting and waiting for a bond that was non-existent, this board, at our last meeting in September, stated that we would have a hearing to talk about this. On September 24th, a certified letter was sent to TBI Auto stating that at this meeting tonight, we would discuss the possibility of revoking the license. And lo and behold, on September 26, 2014, we did receive a bond. My problem is that bond is just going forward. Whatever happened before that is not subject to the bond. And not that that affects the town so much, but it does affect people that did business with the company during that time, that it was not covered by a bond. That's not what we expect of our businesses in Wakefield. So that's why we're here today, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Mullin?
Mr. Chairman, I agree with everything that Steve just said. Let me just amplify on one point. It does have a dog in this fight in one respect. There is a plaintiff that has obtained a judgment against TBI Auto. And the purpose of the bond is to protect plaintiffs like that. That is, if you get a judgment and you get an execution and the company doesn't pay, you go to the town, you give them the execution, and the town uses the bond to pay the judgment. We were unable to do that because there's no bond. The lawyer for that plaintiff has put us on notice that he intends to sue the town for the absence of the bond. Now, that's not a suit that raises my blood pressure for various reasons that I could talk about in executive session. But you can see that there is a real-world person out there who has been harmed, and that there is at least a threat of litigation against the town arising from it.
Okay. Anybody else on the board want to speak on this at this point? I'll give you another opportunity after the public has an opportunity to speak. Okay for the moment?
Good for now.
Public wish to speak on this matter?
Good evening.
Just state your name and address, just so we have it for the record.
Toby Donald, 4 Middlesex Street in Wakefield.
Maria Donald, 4 Middlesex Street, Wakefield.
Basically, when I first was issued, well, when we were first issued a license, there was never any talk about what necessary requirements we needed. We didn't know that we needed a bond. The only time that I ever knew that I actually needed a bond was the last hearing that we had, and that was with the whole entire incident that I had, that I spoke lengthily about. And so I just found out, then that I needed a bond. I've been in contact with 20 different bond companies, but they have to go through a process. It has to go through, this person has to go through underwriting, they have to check your credit, but because of financial hardship that we've sustained, because the license has technically been suspended, is that we were unable to sell any vehicles, and basically I had to borrow the money in order to get the bond issued to me. But the bonds for different companies range from between $4,000 to $5,000, for the whole entire year. But I did find a company, and as soon as they sent me the confirmation for the bond, I faxed it over to the town. I emailed it over to Sherry, and with me as well today, if you want to take
a look at it. Okay, so you found out a year ago?
Yes.
You needed a bond?
Yes, and, well, it was the last meeting, when was that, was January?
No, last year, October.
Was that? Whatever the last meeting was that I was here, when they reinstated, the whole entire license, but,
So how long have you been operating in Wakefield?
for
For a year.
little over a year.
Just over a year, so before that you were somewhere else or doing something else?
Yes, and the thing is that this is our company, this is our only chance of having income and everything, and even having the suspended, it's just taken so long for us to go through different bonding companies, and I actually do have emails from different bonding companies saying pending, 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 and so on and so forth. So, I mean, I haven't done anything, that when they said that your license has been suspended until we receive your bond. But the email also did say that once the bond was received to us, then your license would be reinstated automatically. And I do have the email as far as that is concerned as well. And I mean, if there's any bumps in the road or anything that I've done, that people might think that I'm dishonest or anything like that, you have the total wrong impression about me. And I mean, I'm just trying to run your business, and that's it. I mean, I just wanted clarification as to why I wasn't asked to provide a bond when I first started. When I first came to,
You know, town council can back me up. I don't think it's our job to ask you for a bond per se. It's your obligation under the law to secure a bond and put it in place when you get your license. It's not our job to, you know, to hunt down every compliance with every state statute, with every business in town. It is an affirmative obligation on your part to produce a bond, and, you know, at some point, somebody figured it out, you know, as a result of, you know, all of the times you've been in front of this board for various issues. That makes people wonder, geez, I hope to have a bond. And obviously that occurred, and it was discovered that you didn't, but, you know, it's your obligation as a business. What did you do before this?
I was just saying, I worked at McDonald's,
you weren't in
Burger
a-
King.
okay.
Yeah, I wasn't. This was just a new adventure that I've started and you know, spend more time with my son. So, you know, be self-employed, spend more time with my son, and so on and so forth.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm interrupting everybody.
No, you're fine, you're
No,
fine.
that's
No,
fine.
a few people have,
No.
let's go down the row here. Pat?
Yeah, you said pending. You were waiting for a bond. It was pending. Pending what?
It was pending underwriting. That's what it is. They have to go through a process, and some companies said that it can take them 5 days, it could take them a week, it could take them 2 weeks. And I mean, the first bonding company that I was going through, I believe it was called Ox Bonding, and the person never called me back. I kept on calling them. I kept on telling them, you know, the city of needs the bond. You know, my Class 2 license is currently suspended. I need to get back on track, and I don't want to cause any problems with the city or anything like that. So, I mean, when I knew that wasn't going to work out, I just went from company to company to company to company.
Pat, you good? Phyllis?
You just made a statement a few minutes ago saying you did not know you had to get a bond until, what, a couple of weeks ago, a month ago?
No, until Sherry actually sent me an email stating that I need to have a $25,000 bond sent to the town of Wakefield. From that time, I've been trying to get the bond issued to me.
But I thought you said you received that notice just a short period of, you received it recently, not that long ago.
No, I didn't say that. I said the last meeting that we were in.
What was the last meeting?
The last meeting, it was probably.
I think it was January.
January
2014.
Okay, January. There was a person that I had to come here because the license was going to be suspended, and I came back and you guys reinstated that.
That's when they said you needed a bond.
No, they never told me that.
Well, I have a letter here that we sent to you, June 20th, 2013.
Yep.
And it clearly states that you need a bond.
Yes, and that.
And
that's
now
it.
this is September of 2014. So,
Yeah, so it's
I don't understand why it took you so long to get a bond.
Well, it's just I try to go through different companies, and the license has been suspended, so I didn't have the funds to get that bond. And yeah, I mean, I have bills. I also I have a mortgage to pay and everything like that. I have a son to take care of as well. You know, I mean, I have to do what I have to do. I've been doing side jobs, and you know, in order to get
Don't you think it would
by.
have been wiser for you to wait to get whatever you want until you could get the bond, instead of having the town go through all this trouble of
Yes, I-
contacting you and doing all this?
Yeah, I
You know,
know,
that's
I-
not being fair or fair to other people that you do work for.
Yes, I totally understand. I take full responsibility for the length of time that it has taken to actually get this. And I can just apologize as much as possible. But, you know, I mean, I understand it's totally my responsibility, and I shouldn't have waited so long. I totally understand that. And all I can say is that I do have the bond, and this problem will never happen again. That's the only thing I can say.
Okay. Betsy?
Yes, I recall when you were in the last time,
Mhm.
and I believe there was a person from New Hampshire that was having an issue. Am I correct on that?
Worcester.
No, from
I mean,
Worcester,
Worcester,
from
Worcester,
Worcester, ma'am.
Worcester,
Yes.
all right? And we cut you a lot of slack then.
Mhm.
But I can say, from experience, my own personal experience, having opened 3 businesses of which I had no background doing, I found out every single thing that I had to do before I went before the Board of Selectmen in Lynnfield, Council in Woburn at that time. And I appreciate the fact that you would like to stay home with your son. There are a lot of people that would like to stay home with their son. They don't have that pleasure,
Yes.
all right? They don't have that. I'm sure this is your wife, I'm assuming?
Yes.
Well, you know, some people don't have any parents at home, and your son has 2 at home, and I think that's
Yes.
very nice. But the fact remains that you evidently did not investigate what you should have done before you even got this license. So as a result, not that there was a horrible amount of time expended, but it's a constant trying to get things from you, and there was no response. You know, that's an irritation. You know,
Yes.
if you ask for something and you don't even get a response, that's a little bit of disrespect as well as for the person that's trying to do this and to do the bidding of this board so that we keep everything on track. I understand you probably do have a hardship, but and you accepted full responsibility other than yourself because you
Yes.
did not investigate going into business and what you needed to provide for us. It would be like somebody opening a restaurant and didn't realize they had to be okayed by the Board of Health. Well, you know, that's the way it goes. And now we find ourselves in the position, because of the fact that you didn't have a bond, regardless of what reason you did or you didn't have it, that someone is threatening suit against us. Now, as town council said, he's not gonna lose much sleep over it right now, but it is something that he's going to have to spend his time on, I'm sure. And you may have found that if you had investigated this in the very beginning, and you had trouble getting a bond and couldn't get in on this gig that you're interested in doing, a lot of people would like to be self-employed, but it's not as glamorous as it appears. I'm sure you realize
yes.
that. You may have, maybe a favor would have been done for you that said, look, stay out of the business. You know, it would be, you know, like my opening a tap dancing school. That's not gonna happen, okay? It would not. But you know what I'm trying, I'm not trying to
Yes.
belittle what you're doing, I'm just saying that sometimes in the great grand scheme of things, what seems like a very negative thing could turn out to be very positive for you. So that you could go and get a position that might, you know, not might, that would give you a definite income every week. Because this is up and down, obviously, and as I said, it's not as glamorous as before. But I don't like the idea that, and the horse is out of the barn, that you didn't investigate what you needed to have done, and now it's back here. We're gonna look like the most miserable people in the world, you know, if we act upon this, but our hands are tied as well.
Yeah.
You unfortunately have put this board in a tremendously difficult position.
Yes, and I totally apologize again for that, and I totally understand. I do take full responsibility for every single thing that has been done. All I can do is give you my word that it won't happen again. That's all I can give.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Anybody else for the moment? Steve, do you want to just, a couple of things that came up there, the lack of response, you want to just, you kind of whipped through a history there. I just think it's meaningful, you know. There are people who, in the town who work in partnership with the town, and when you put a call into them or you send them a letter, they show up at your door. I know, I've been there when they've walked through, and say, how do we work this out? What can we do? And I think we go to great lengths to help them. I just want to know, you know, what was the disconnect here that we're sitting in this hearing instead of this being, you know, resolved in the normal course in your office?
Well, I know that we were, I'll use the word ignored through the process. You know, we try to do work very business community, and I think that's something that we pride ourselves on. We think about the things that we've done as a board, particularly members of this board, Paul Donaco, Pat Glynn, on the business development piece, that have gone door to door to businesses in downtown to help them. But, you know, here we have a situation where, you know, we had a big issue that came to this board regarding a sale of an auto. We give grant a lot of Class 2 licenses. I can't remember in 15 years having anything like that come before this board. We had that issue. And with all due respect, this is a non-display Class 2 license. Okay, so it's not like there should be cars everywhere. It's not a big, you know, like downtown Wakefield, we have some of these places. I think that we have no less than sales and certified letters that we had to send out before we got any response. And the only time we got response, really, was when we stated that there was gonna be a meeting to revoke the license, okay? This is a Class 2 non-display license. A lot of time is being spent on this. I take great pride in anybody coming to the town of Wakefield and having a good relationship and a good experience, whether they're going to restaurant downtown, a retail store, you know, or buying a car in town. That hasn't happened here. And I can only say, if we're not getting that respect here from a license granting authority, I wonder what the customers are getting. So, my recommendation, of course, it's up to the board. Mr. Donald comes in here and he promises that he's gonna do well, and he promised that before, and we certainly don't wanna hurt anybody. That's not our role. But in this case, we're talking about a Class 2 license, non-display, that has been nothing but trouble for 2 years.
Yeah, I think we don't want to hurt people, but we also have an obligation
Right.
through the licensing function of this board to protect people. That's why we
Yes.
have licenses. It's
Exactly.
not for the town to make $5 on a fee or
Exactly.
something. It's for us to be aware what's going on and offer some sort of, it's not a full-on endorsement, but there's at least some sort of check and balance
Right.
going on. When somebody deals with a business in our town, they know that somebody's taking a look at them, and that they have some sort of recourse when they do deal with them.
Right.
And here we have somebody who's disrespected your office, this board, the process, and apparently customers, as we've heard them come in front of
Right.
us. And it's just, I'm okay to admit, I'm okay with mistakes. I like to focus on remedies, but it's when we get into that line of, I heard you say ignore, for me, that's disturbing. You've lost the right to be, you've kind of lost the right to be helped, right? If you cooperate, Kate, there's a lot of people here in this town that are here to help you. But here, this is more disturbing.
Mr.
Go ahead, Pat.
Chairman, yeah, I want to echo Steve's comments and Betsy's comments and your comments, and kind of, in a nutshell, just say, we take it personally. We welcome businesses in, we go above and beyond to try to help and try to make it an easy process. And, unfortunately, we have to take a stand on occasion. Don't take any pride in it, and don't take any pleasure in it. And unfortunately, your inaction, your complete lack of response to us have put us in this position. Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we revoke the license for, the petitioner.
TBI.
I'd like to
TBI
ask a
Auto
question.
Sales.
I'd like to ask a question.
So,
We
real
revoke-
quick, Phyllis, do we have a second on the motion?
I'll
Then-
second it for discussion.
Yeah,
Phyllis.
second by Betsy. Go ahead, Phyllis, discussion on the motion.
License is revoked. What happens to that bond?
What-
Have you
what
already
happens
paid
to-
for that bond?
Yes, I already paid for the bond and the money is gone. That's it.
What, do you mind telling us what the cost of that bond is, or are we not supposed to know?
It was just about 3,000. And, and may I just say one more thing too, Chairman?
Sure.
I didn't even know anything about this meeting until after the certified letter was
Friday.
the mail. Actually, I didn't get the mail, so my wife had to go up to the post office to get that, but that bond was already issued before I even knew about this meeting, so it's not that I was ignoring. I was trying, and I have emails from all different types of bonding company from back in June and July, and I can show you them as well, stating that I've been trying to just, so.
Well, my feeling
sorry.
is, this is how I feel. I think, you know, there's been a lot of criticism, and, but if I have to vote, I will not vote to revoke your license. I think I think what you've done is wrong, but I just feel like, under the circumstances, I would vote to give you another chance. That's how I feel.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay,
Oh,
let Mr. Mullen,
I didn't
you want to
see.
speak to the refundability of the bond premium?
No, actually, I
No?
wanted to
Okay.
speak to Selectwoman Hull's concern. I think it's important to bear in mind that there is an injured party out there. And so anyone who is inclined toward leniency in this case, I should think would want to make it a condition somehow that that plaintiff be, there's an $11,000 judgment outstanding, which would have been paid had the bond been in place.
I'm sorry,
If you have to pay 'em.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I know nothing about this plaintiff. I don't know anything. I've never received any mails. I've
Yeah.
never received any phone calls. I don't know anything about this. This is the first time that I've heard about it.
Well, I can only say that it's been represented to me by a lawyer who's, I believe he sent me a copy of the execution, that there is an execution outstanding against TBI. If it was improvidently entered, then there's an opportunity for TBI to go before a judge and explain that they never were served or whatever. But it's something that has to be cleared up.
Yes, of
And
course.
so, again, if any select person were interested in showing leniency, I should think, if only to avoid the threatened litigation against the town, a condition of such leniency would be that TBI comes back and proves that either satisfied the judgment or vacated it.
Okay.
And I would definitely be fine with that, but as I said, I don't know anything about this. I don't know if you have any information on it that you can possibly give to me, because I don't know nothing about it.
Okay. If you mind for 1 second, Betsy,
I'm
just,
sorry.
just from anecdotally, hypothetically, refundability of a bond premium. I've usually found insurance policies and things in that nature, when you make a purchase, you can usually get them back if if it's a 1-year term, you can cancel it, get a prorated premium back. It's very common.
I really
I know
couldn't
you
say.
can't.
I don't
Okay.
know.
Yeah, I'm sorry. As far as the bond is concerned, once and they made this very clear to me, so this was kind of like, kind of like fire, so to speak. They said that once you accept this bond, there will be no refund, because it's the full premium for the whole entire year. They do not refund our premiums.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
So you said you didn't know about the bond? that
No.
You were supposed to get a bond. You don't know about the pending litigation? Did you receive any of the emails that were
No.
sent to you from the town?
Yes, from Sherry.
Did you respond to any of them?
Yes, I did. I responded to every single time Sherry sent me an email, I sent it back to her, and I do have emails confirming that as well. So, the last email that I know besides this meeting that I got from Sherry was, once we receive your bond, your license will be reinstated because it's at this time. And I do have that confirmation email as well.
Yeah. Go.
Any other discussion? Go ahead. Hey, Phyllis, we're gonna let Paul speak real quick. Just,
okay,
yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
thanks.
okay,
Go ahead,
fine.
Paul.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. I'm having a little bit of a hard time with the timeline on all this. Selectwoman Hull produced a letter stating that it was back as far as June of 2013 that we informed you that you needed a bond, okay? So you're telling us now that you've been looking for a bond all this time. Have you been doing a business since June of 2013?
No.
Okay, so,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
so, again, so now, it's 15 months, as it was stated, that no bond has been issued. Now you come before us. Why didn't you seek help earlier to help you obtain the bond?
Well, because I really didn't even know what a bond was. I had to investigate what an actual bond was, and then I had to go through all different types of companies in order to get that bond. I didn't realize that there is a big, huge layout as to what you need. It goes by your credit, then it has to go through an underwriting team, and I was denied, a few places.
Well, when Town Administrator Mayo repeatedly sent you out emails and letters, why didn't you respond to those?
Okay, I only received one letter besides the one that I got for this meeting. That letter was stating that that your license is going to be suspended if we don't get a bond by, I think it was something the 21st. I think it was some.
John, hold on, since
Go ahead. I'm
you're
sorry.
no, you're fine. Just you're trying to recall facts from your mind, and I
Yeah.
think Mr. Mayo has a prepared kind of history of the facts. Maybe
Okay.
you can enlighten us on exactly
Right,
the course of events.
After getting no real response via email, we sent out a certified letter. This was on August 4th. On July 29th, my administrative assistant Sherry Eskenai sent you an email to the email address that we have on file for you of tdo@yahoo.com, advising you that if we do not have a copy of a bond by Friday, August 1st, that your Class 2 license would be suspended.
Is that of 13 or 14?
14.
14th.
Please be advised that as of today, August 4th, we are not in receipt of your bond and your Class 2 license is hereby suspended. You need to surrender your license at the Town Administrator's Office at Town Hall. Respectfully yours. We received any,
Was the
I mean,
license
I think I would
surrendered?
come in.
Was the license surrendered? Anybody show
No.
up? Anybody call you?
No one showed up.
Okay, and then you brought it to this board's attention, and that's why we
Yes.
scheduled this hearing.
Yeah. A little later.
Okay, and so no response to that, no response to emails, no response to or at least no bond in response to the letter in
No, there
2000
were some responses to emails during the chain.
2013, when we sent the
Nothing in
letter that said
2013.
you need a bond. And why were we even looking at this in 2013?
That was when we issued the license originally.
Oh, so we issued the license, on the day we issued it, we said, by the way, you need a bond.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
No.
Didn't happen?
No, you
That
don't
was
know
it.
this.
You can, this is all televised. You can go back to the recordings.
No,
and
no,
you
that
can-
was a letter that went out.
So he has a
letter.
copy of the letter in his hand. So here's where, right, so it's pretty clear that you haven't paid attention to your obligations, you're not aware of your obligations to us, from our history of hearing from your customers to your customers. I question, whether you should be in business. Maybe this is why we have licenses, so that we can, stop things like this. This is kind of a slow motion train crash here that we're watching, and I think we have a chance to stop it instead of just watch it. So I think you'd be best served. Sounds like you haven't been in business for 15 months anyway. If you haven't had a bond, you haven't had, although you seem to have sold cars because it's been the result. One of them resulted in a substantial complaint, including somebody coming to this board. Apparently, another one resulted in a fully litigated matter in a court without you showing up, because you skipped that one too. It's just even if by accident, I actually find you to be credible, right? Meaning, I don't think you're lying to us, but that actually scares me a little more. I think you're not aware of your duties and your obligations. You're probably over your head on this and don't have a handle on it. And you're not the kind of person that ought to have one of these. I think it means something that you've been licensed by this town. And for me, it's troubling that you have a license. So with that, Betsy, would you like to speak?
Yeah, I'd like to echo what Brian just said to you. How old are you?
I'm 38.
All right, I'm old enough to be your mother. Not your grandmother, I don't think, but I'm old enough to be your mother. Look, I don't think I don't think you are intentionally lying. I don't think you're intentionally cheating anyone. I think you're very naive, and I'm making a leap of faith here. I think you're very naive when it comes to running a business. I think if I were your mother, I would sit you down and I would say, what's your first name?
Toby.
Toby, this is not for you. You owe it to your wife and to your son to forget this, maybe it's a dream that you had, and I think it's a wonderful thing, but I think if this board should revoke your license, I think in the long run, you may sit back and say, they did me a favor, coming into a hard time of year to sell cars. I don't think you've looked into what needs to be done for someone that owns a business and what you have to sacrifice and what you have to put aside before you go in. I wish you the best in what you do, but I'm not sure this was a good career move for you. It's only my opinion. And I think in the long run, I think whatever happens tonight, I think you may step back and say, "Phew, okay, a decision was made for me, and I'm going to do X, Y, and Z." And I think in the great grand scheme of things and looking down the road, I think you'd be a much happier person. You wouldn't have maybe as much angst about things. Your wife can take care of your son, or you can stay home and your wife can go out and get a job and get your bennies and get your health insurance and get everything that you need as a young family. So I want you to know, I don't think you're a cheat and I don't think you're a thief. I really don't. I think you're very naive when it comes to business. And unfortunately, bite you, I think. All right?
That's it. Pat?
Oh.
Yep.
I would tend to agree, and I don't take these votes lightly. You seem like a very nice gentleman. And again, you probably went into this, maybe with your eyes wide open, but not checking all the boxes you need to. If you're thinking about a business in the future, just talk to a business lawyer. Think of the business that you're interested in and talk to a business lawyer, or come to the town and ask the town. We have pamphlets, we have people here who are willing to help whoever wants to start a business of any kind. This has been arduous at the least. We've spent an hour talking about it tonight. Don't take any pleasure in this whatsoever.
Phyllis?
I'd like to ask Attorney Mullen, this litigation, could that be resolved? I mean, could he go and find out if somebody is suing? Could that be, if he was able to find out that wasn't, there isn't this suit or whatever it is that's going on, could that be?
Well, there are two ways of handling it. One would be to pay the judgment, and the other would be to move to vacate the judgment. Now, and when I said earlier that a selectman might condition a decision not to revoke on that, I misspoke, because there's no way to condition a non-revocation. I think you'd want to revoke and leave it with the applicant that if he manages to come back with evidence that the judgment has been paid or vacated, then we would welcome his application for a new license. And presumably under that new license, he could take advantage of the bond that he just purchased.
How, I want to continue with this.
How would he find out about the suit?
Yes.
I could give him the name and email address of the lawyer for the plaintiff.
And resolve this problem.
He could come
How
back.
long would it be, how long would he have to wait? You would continue to have your bond?
Yes.
How long would that be for him to come back and to
Paying the judgment is something you could do in a day, if you've got the money. Assuming that it is an
he evidently doesn't have the money.
Well, assuming that it was an improvidently entered judgment and there was no notice to them, then he would have to go to court and seek to vacate it. How long that takes, I don't know. You were probably talking months.
Thank you.
Just
Yeah.
very briefly, I'd echo what Pat and Betsy said, that the hearings that you've appeared before us, you haven't known something very significant. There was a mass general law with regard to the issue about the woman who felt that she had been wronged, and you apologized at that point. You didn't know something about selling particular cars. And I agree that I don't think you're scam us. I think there's knowledge that you don't have, whether it's an incompetence, and I don't mean that in a mean way. I just mean that you didn't find out what you needed to do. And we are here to help. And what Mr. Mullins was saying is, if your affairs get in order down the road, we welcome a new application with all the ducks in line. And these are not easy decisions.
And I will just speak one more thing on that. I have been calling different people. I actually have a safety audit with the Massachusetts State Police, and they are going to be going down guidelines as to what needs to be done, what can be done, what can't be done, and so on and so forth. So I am trying to, I'm also reading up on books, basically, on laws, what you can do, what you can't do, so on and so forth, so that I don't have to be in this situation, and I'm not wasting everybody's time like this hour conversation that we've been having.
Mr.
Okay,
Chairman, Mr. Mullen, do I have to amend my motion in any way? If he comes back and has his ducks in a row, we're not banning him from opening a business by revoking his license now.
I don't think you would want to change your motion in any way. I think you'd want to express tonight the intent, which obviously can't be binding on a future board, but the intent that if the current very serious problem that appears, I mean, you shouldn't belittle it. Courts do not lightly enter judgments, and I find it frankly very difficult to believe that it was improvidently entered. So you've got an $11,000 judgment sitting out there. Had you fulfilled your legal obligation by getting a bond when it was requested in writing, that plaintiff would be satisfied. Instead, the plaintiff is not satisfied. The town's been threatened with litigation. I think that the board might want to take the position that we're revoking tonight, but if you come back with proof that you've either satisfied the judgment or vacated it, then we would welcome a new application.
I would say we would welcome a new application. I think you ought to seriously, as a, not old enough to be a mother, but you ought to seriously consider doing something else. I mean, really, something less complex, something less regulatory, something where you have greater experience and greater talents. If you're reading books on how to run the business you started a year ago, I think it's all the times you've been here for all the wrong reasons is probably the book you ought to read that says, hey, this is, let's have a happy ending before this gets uglier. So with that, any other comments? Are we good for the moment? So the motion to revoke the license, it was moved by Pat, seconded by Betsy for discussion. Anyway, we've had the discussion. And now I'd like to just, before we take a vote, is there anybody else in the public who would like to speak? Anybody else who hasn't spoken? I know there are other people here. Mr. Mayo, are you done? You're good? Okay.
I feel differently. I know they're gonna revoke your license tonight, but go back. I mean it, because I've seen people go through this, and if this is really what you wanna do, then go back and try to resolve it. Get the information you have to, and come back, okay? Don't let anybody tell you you have to do something else if this is what you want to do.
Yeah, we like
That's
this.
how I
Try
feel
to do
about
the
it.
best.
No, this is actually what I really like to do, and I know nothing about this court case, so I know absolutely
fine.
nothing about it. I
Find
never
some,
received.
find some counsel that you trust.
Yeah.
Then
Lawyer who will help you through this process.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what you need. You need representation.
Yeah.
Information.
Well, nobody's gonna, no one's gonna tear me down, no one's gonna, put me on the ground. I mean, I will come back, and I will keep on coming back, and I will come back strong. That's all I can say.
Okay, good.
Mr. Chairman, Sherry just emailed you the name and email address of the plaintiff's lawyer.
Okay, thank you very much.
Great. With that, there's a motion on the floor. It's been properly made and seconded. All in favor of the motion? Aye.
I'm
All
abstaining.
opposed?
I want to abstain from voting.
So 1 abstention and 5 in favor. So with that, the motion carries. Okay.
Thank you.
May I make a motion to leave the public hearing?
Second.
Moved by Betsy, second by Paul. All in favor of closing the public hearing?
Aye.
Phyllis, roll call?
Yes.
Closing public hearing?
Yes, yes.
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 Aye.
Aye. Okay, with that, we'll move on our agenda. I believe we are at
Wakefield Housing?
G, the Wakefield Housing Plan. Mr. Rivas, come on up and have a seat.
5 minutes.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hello.
So as you know, we all, we received, all of us received copies of the plan. Everybody, I think, has it with them or has reviewed it. So go ahead and,
The last US Census found that we have 10,469 year-round households in Wakefield. Chapter 30B, Section 22, we're required to have 22% of those households as considered affordable units. We are now at 6.01%, according to the state's records that they keep. That's called a subsidized housing inventory. We need to go to 10%. We have achieved quite a bit since our last plan. We have done Legacy Park, we have done River Crossing, 14 Audubon Road. That's 209 units. Concurrently with submitting this plan to the state, we would submit documentation of those projects, which would bring us up to 8%. And so I'm here tonight before you requesting that you approve this plan, and it is a plan, it is not a binding commitment, to submit this to the Department of Housing and Community Development for their approval. Communities in the state that have housing plans. They are valid for 5 years once they're approved. This year, there are 11 of those 62 communities will cycle off and will have to either resubmit or provide another plan. So there are generally 17% of all the communities in this state have housing plans. We're trying to join that little club. Our plan was prepared by a very highly respected consultant. I anticipate that it would be approved by the Department of Housing and Community Development within 3 months. It would require for us to only perform to get a safe harbor from 40B projects. That is the only thing that this really does for us. We don't gain anything by submitting this plan other than the opportunity to achieve a safe harbor from projects that might not be in an area that we find suitable or fit our character of our town. So with that, I would hope that you would vote to approve this plan. It is a plan. It's flexible. It has a lot of ideas in it. We will probably not touch a lot of the ideas that are in the implementation section, but we have a big menu to work from and consider and also offer to developers to look at.
great.
Mr. Chairman, I'd make a motion to accept the plan as presented with thanks to Mr. Revis and his committee for submission to the proper authority.
I second the
Yes,
motion, and I want to echo Betsy's comments.
Okay, great. Any other comments on the motion at this time? Okay, and that proper authority is the Department of Housing and Community Development, so just to be clear. I too, thank you very much. I remember, Mr. on the evaluation committee to actually pick the consultant, was that 2 years ago? When was that?
It was 10 years ago.
No, it was just 2 years.
Does that take?
No, for this particular iteration of the plan.
Well, we did the interviews in February of 2013.
Oh, really? Oh, felt a lot longer ago. But anyway, that was a while ago. Glad it worked out well. I know they were going to do a great job, and the plan shows that. So with that, there's a motion on the floor. I'll entertain a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank
Vote
you.
is unanimous. Thank you very much. Good job.
Excuse me, I think you also want to give me the authority to sign that and present it to the, if you wish,
Yes,
unless
you
you
can.
want to go on yourself, Mr. Chairman.
I'll add that
I'll
to my
sign it.
motion.
No.
I'll add that to
No,
my
no.
motion.
Second.
All right, so just since it's there's a second motion to allow that. Favor?
Aye.
All right.
Excellent job.
You got that,
Thank you
Sherry?
very much.
You got it? All right. Thank you, Paul. Nice job.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you very much.
All right. Next one. 271 Vernon Street Cell Tower. I believe Mr. Mullen has a brief presentation on that.
Yeah, very brief, just to let you know what's happened. As you're aware, there was a fairly controversial matter before the ZBA recently involving a proposed cell tower at the church at 271 Vernon Street. The ZBA ended up with what was basically a split decision. There was a vote 4-1 to grant the special permit that was requested and required, but there was a vote of 3-2 to grant the variance, the height variance, which was also requested. And that's inadequate. It's a majority, but it was not the supermajority required. So it was in effect a denial. And the plaintiff, the cell tower company, has now filed an appeal in U.S. District Court. It is pending, and I'm going to have to answer it, and I've made arrangements to meet with the ZBA at their next meeting to discuss the matter in executive session with them.
Okay, great, thank you. All right. Veterans articles, Mr. Mayo, Mr. Mullen.
Sure, I'll jump in. As the board may recall, at the Maytown meeting of this year, 2 articles were presented by our excellent veterans agent through their advisory board. And what they were, and they were both passed unanimously by town meeting, as I recall. What they would allow the selectmen to petition the legislature to create on our tax bills, kind of a check. People want to donate for veterans' needs, or if people want to donate to upkeep the memorials, they can. We have to go that through special legislation, which means that the Board of Selectmen is going to ask our reps to present that to get approval for this, and I would recommend that we do, since town meeting voted for it, and said it is really a great way that people can give to a Veterans Memorial and Patriotic Fund, or give to Veterans Relief Fund, without going to a fundraiser, or without going to some people, it's hard for them to get out to things, they're very busy, but this does allow them the ability to do that. And I think this board has done a great job in helping the veterans, everyone here, from the World War II Memorial to creating a much more proactive Veterans Department with our collaboration with Melrose, et cetera. So I would suggest that we're authorized to go forward on both of these.
Can I get a motion to authorize Steve to submit these to the state legislature,
So
on
moved.
behalf of the town?
Second.
Moved by Betsy, second by Phyllis. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right, licenses, permits, and approvals is the next section of our agenda. We're almost home here, so. First one is from Jeffrey's Package Store for a change in Sunday hours. Does this, just curious about how this one rolls, having just authorized a transfer. I guess it's the new Jeffrey's making this request, or the
Well, actually,
transferee,
it's
or
the
it must have
existing
come from
Jeffries,
the old
because that
list.
hasn't gone through. That's gotta be approved by the ABCC, the transfer of that license.
Okay, so when that license gets
This would transfer
transferred,
with
this
it.
will go with it?
Yeah.
Okay, so the request is to change their Sunday hours to start selling at 10 a.m. as opposed now.
New now, and this is because of a change in the law at the state level, in which when the ABCC sent out a directive saying that this had occurred, with no indication of how we would occur it. So we've been talking to them over the summer, and it does require a request to the license authority, which this board is, and we have contacted all of our 5 package stores or liquor stores in town. 3 of them have submitted the one-page change that is in front of you today, and I would expect the other 2 would follow suit. So this is
Okay.
the change to be able to open at 10 a.m. on Sundays.
Okay, so with respect to the Jeffrey's Package Store application, we get a motion to approve the change.
Second.
Moved by Paul, second by Betsy, all in favor?
Aye.
Again, with respect to Greenwood Wine and Spirit, Sunday hours
So
opening at
moved.
10 a.m., moved by Paul, second by Betsy,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And then with respect to McDonough's Liquors, change to 10 a.m. start.
So moved.
Moved by Paul,
Second.
second by Betsy, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, those 3 are done. Next one is for, interestingly, request, sorry. Request from John Fournier for a Class 2 license. Come forward at your peril.
Deja vu all over, as Jody Barrow would say.
Do you have a
It was
bond?
quite difficult to sit there and keep my mouth shut,
Yeah.
believe me.
Watched.
But,
Just
basically-
real quick, you want to state your name and your address, just for the record?
John Fournier. Presently, my address is 2 Route 153, Union, New Hampshire. I was born and raised on the North Shore. I was born in, worked through the 70s and 80s for multiple dealerships on the North Shore, Anderson Foreign Motors, North Shore Chrysler Plymouth, North Shore Volkswagen. I come before you to ask for a Class 2 license, because I have the experience. Some family medical issues required that I divulge from the business, and I took a job as a assistant controller in a hotel for the last 15 years. But I know the Massachusetts laws. I've established an office at 301 Edgewater Drive, subleasing from another firm. And I'm looking strictly to do wholesale, strictly auction to auction. No display of cars, no signage, nothing. The bond, I've already applied for a bond. I don't know where he
We don't
got a
believe you.
$3,000 figure. My bond is gonna cost me 1% or $250, which is standard in the business.
Yeah, I know that real estate bonds are like $50
Yeah,
a year. Yeah.
you know, I
For
don't know
Several $100,000
If-
homes.
if he is in fact paying a $3,000 premium. It might be based on his financial capability of withstanding a suit. I want to commend Sherry and Stephen, because I've spoken with them before, coming before the board. Sherry made sure before I walked out of her office 2 weeks ago that I knew about the bond and I knew about fingerprinting. So, you know, I'm not gonna stand here in front of the board and say, I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, you made a fine recommendation. He doesn't belong in the business. He doesn't have the financial
Chairman.
power
But
to.
that's not for you to say.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman.
That's not,
Yeah,
you should be
all
making
right.
that comment.
You know, but this is what I would like to do, and, you know, I have held homes in Salem, Lynn, Saugus, Newburyport. It's gonna be probably a homecoming to me,
Great.
and I'd ask the board to approve the license.
Okay, before we discuss, can I get a motion to open
So
up
moved,
discussion?
Mr. Chairman.
A motion
So
to,
moved,
motion.
pending,
Hold on a second. Motion approved by Betsy, seconded by Paul, and now I'll have discussion of the motion.
I
Go ahead.
will not be in favor as long as unless the motion is pending our receipt of a bond.
I'll amend my motion.
Second.
So, just a quick question, maybe I just as a kind of point of order for council. Isn't every license, it's not effective until the bond?
Actually,
Apparently not.
the way the statute is
Well, no, I think
worded,
those guys have acted illegally for years.
it doesn't, I don't believe the statute says it's ineffective until we receive a bond. Were that the case, there would be no need for revocation. It's rather that the town shall demand a bond of each applicant who gets a license.
Okay.
I'll amend the motion.
Betsy?
I'll amend the motion upon receipt of the bond. Is that what you would like?
And I'll second that.
Okay.
Is that what you want?
Yeah, well, you know, taking a step back, I feel like I'm punishing somebody here for other people's, so I'll withdraw that.
Okay.
Keep
Yeah, I
your
don't
motion
think we
as
need
is.
to.
I stand corrected.
All right. I'll go back to my original motion.
Thank you.
All right, so we have a motion to approve as made by Betsy, it was seconded by Paul. You're gonna have a bond really soon. Before we do vote, or does anybody else have anything to speak on this? Just, but before we do vote, I do, I appreciate your comment about, without getting into the history of this evening, that's how things should work. You come to the town, You ask for advice, you get good advice, everybody's happy, it's a partnership, there's a lot great communication, it's collaboration. We want to see you be successful. Steve and Sherry want to see you be successful, that's why they're giving you good advice. So, with that, we'll take a vote. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
No. I'm voting no. I do not like the fact that the gentleman made the statement about the other person that was here looking for it. I don't think it was the right thing to do.
Okay. All right. So, vote is favor and the
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
All right. Next item on the agenda is, I think, has already been dealt with, right? So, that was regarding TBI auto sales. The only items left are correspondence. We have a letter from the Department of Labor Standards, a letter from the Mass State Lottery Commission. Any comments, everybody? That was in your packets, okay? And now we'll go around the table. Town council?
Nothing, thanks.
Nothing? Steve?
Mr. Chairman, three very quick things. Number one, on October 9th, I'll be speaking at the Chamber of Commerce breakfast, and hope that board members can attend. That's at 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to talk about the importance of the Chamber and town government in moving things forward locally, and dovetail that into some of the things we're trying to do on Main Street. Not just the Main Street program per se, but some of the improvements that this board has promoted, and some of the state funding that we're still working on, trying to actually get that out of the bond to get some things done. They usually have some very good questions, and if you let me know anybody who thinks they can make that, I think, is that at Harrington's? Where is that?
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure where it is
Yeah,
either.
where-
Somewhere in Wakefield.
Savings
Sure,
Bank.
we'll
Is it
find it.
Savings Bank? Okay. And, boy, you guys know. I would like anybody that wants to go, let me know, and we'll get you tickets or whatever needs to be done.
7 to 9:30?
7 to 9:30, yeah. Number two,
In the morning?
In the morning. The rededication of the Galvin School will be on Saturday, November 15th. The actual ceremony is gonna be at 7 p.m., but from 5 o'clock through, 6:45, there will be public tours available of the building. This is a great testament to the work that the town has done, together, working for what is a great new school. And, a lot of people in the public have asked, when can we get in? I mean, it was a construction site up to the day, and maybe even now, the kids got in there. But we do want to make sure that the public can get in that don't have children in the school. So 5 o'clock on, there'll be tours available. The dedication ceremony will be in our new completed auditorium that will be completed actually in time for Veterans Day as well. So you can get a sneak peek on Veterans Day. Veterans Day ceremony will be there. So that I would invite everybody to come. That's going to be quite a day. We hope to have members of our state delegation, including maybe Treasurer Grossman, who was very helpful in the whole process. So I hope everyone can make it. And finally, this board has talked a lot in the last few meetings about what can we do to some of our, I want to call them cultural facilities in town, whether it's upgrading and using the on Albion Street that the MLD used to be in, or whether it's our Civil War Memorial that we've talked about getting that up to snuff. And today I actually attended a information session with the Mass Cultural Facilities Funds, trying to see what we can do to shake the trees loose to get some grant money out of there. I think there are some opportunities there that I'll be working on. I'll keep the board apprised. But in each case, it's a matching grant. Every grant they give is a dollar for dollar matching grant from the town. So we'll have to plan that, how we're gonna do that, but I'll be bringing that back to the board. But it is a nice opportunity for some of the things that we have. That's it, Mr. Chairman.
That's great. Phyllis?
Are you ready?
No, never.
I'm not doing
Go ahead,
anything
Phyllis.
tonight.
Oh, really?
Say go Pats?
I definitely wasn't ready for that, so. No, thank you, Phyllis. Betsy.
3 quick things. First of all, I'd like to, Steve, would you please thank Ricky Stinson? A few months ago, I asked that when the time was right, if the scraggly-looking flagpole on Patty Heights could be painted, and it's all done, and it's great. I ride by it every day, so tell him thank you very much. Secondly, Mr. Giannaco, I received 2 calls. When are we going to have I was asked for a, quote, full accounting of the Festival of Italian Festival?
I usually have my annual accounting between November and December. I don't do an individual one for each event. So when I do my annual, that's when I have my
Okay, so I
accounting.
can tell them in January?
Well, I usually have, usually December.
December,
right
after the stroll?
Right after the stroll, I usually give
Okay.
my annual. I don't do individual ones.
Okay,
It's an accounting of the close of the year.
the whole close of the year.
That's right. I don't
Okay.
go, we don't do fiscal, we do calendar.
And
That's how,
lastly,
well, I think that's what it was. When do you send out the notices?
I don't remember.
I mean, I can give an accounting in this, at the end of December, if that's what everybody wants.
yeah,
That's fine.
no, if that's when you do it, I couldn't really remember, to tell you the truth. And lastly, you know, a few months ago, we lost Leo, the crime dog.
Yes.
The dog that Officer Rossicone took care of, that frightened the devil out of a lot of us one night when he came for a meeting, I can tell you
Yes.
that much right now. But anyway, is Leo going to be replaced?
There is no replacement for Leo.
No, I understand
However,
that. I'm a dog lover,
and that's
trust
from a
me.
non-dog person.
Well, I
think
love
people are
dogs
surprised.
more than a lot of human beings. But have they any plans to replace this?
Yes, I actually
Wowza.
was talking to the chief about this on Friday.
Yeah.
And once he gets his new police officers settled,
Yep.
and there are, I think, 4 at the academy now, there are some grant funds, and there are some other funds still available to go another canine for the troops. And I think that one area that it is very important in is in the schools. And
right.
we've already been talking about that, so.
Great, and I know that there was a company that provided him with nuggets.
Yes.
And I would like to thank that company for what they did for Leo. Thanks. That's it.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to put the EPC onto the warrant, not warrant, but the agenda for the following upcoming meeting so that we can discuss the.
Thanks, but what on it, sorry?
The holiday stroll onto next,
Oh, the event planning committee.
yes.
Yeah.
For
Okay.
set the time of the event, date and time, as we normally do.
Okay.
Other than that.
Sherry's got that, she's
Got it.
nodding. It'll
All
be on the
set.
agenda.
Yep.
Other than that, sir, I'm done.
Okay. Mr. Glenn?
Yep, just, Steve, thank you for cleaning up around the Civil War Memorial, and I think that's great. You're talking to the Mass Cultural Council about some funds to repair that. I think next year marks the 150th anniversary of the end of the Civil War, if my math is correct. Wouldn't it be a great ceremony to unveil that in 2015, newly renovated? So, I don't know if that's at all possible, but it's a goal we should try to set. You know, that whole park is, the World War II Memorial has set off that whole park, and it would be a nice thing to rededicate that monument, so, that's all.
Okay. Ann?
Just a couple of things. All of my trash fit in my one trash barrel this morning, and I didn't think it would, but I was pleasantly surprised. We have 3 adults and 2 older kids in my family, and it all squeaked. And I was driving around, and everyone, it looked nice. Nice and neat.
That's what we want.
I didn't know. I didn't wash it. I'd gone to work before that. But you know what? I hope people have an open mind because it was super easy to roll out. It was easier than my other barrels, frankly. They aren't as big. So it was nice. 2 things with regard to traffic issues. I had talked to folks who went to the football game this past week, and they were concerned there's not a crosswalk from the new parking lot to the football field. Just something bright that shows people where to cross, because people are crossing all over the place, cars are going fast. It was a little chaotic. So maybe a crosswalk might make sense there. And I still think, going back to my speed bumps, whether they be portable speed bumps that can be dragged, because with the new parking lot and young kids leaving it from in the Voc kids starting at the top of a hill and going rather quickly. Speed bumps might not be a bad idea. So that's all I have.
Galucci has those hidden.
I'm sorry?
John Galucci had those hidden. They're no longer available, the bumps.
Oh, the removable speed bumps. They show up around town every once in a while. They're around. All right.
You good?
I'm
Okay.
good.
May I say something, please? You know, I
You
couldn't
know,
go
it was
on.
my turn. It was my turn.
What I
You
wanna
declared
say
you were
is,
done. All right, go
I
ahead.
want to, Pat, thank Steve for the Civil
Yes.
War Memorial. I don't mind giving Steve credit, but I went to see Rick Stinson, and I have to give Rick Stinson, the next day, I went to see him, and the next day, they were cleaning up the Civil War Memorial.
Well, then I have to
So I have to give him credit.
Well, then I have to give
Rick-
Dennis Fazio credit,
Well,
because
that's
he's the one
because
who
he got his
actually,
orders from
he's
us.
the one who does it.
And I'm gonna make a comment about is, I'm always critical, I'm not critical of the library, but I don't want them getting extra money, I don't want them doing anything. But my office, I think I told you this, I look out my window, and what do I face? The library, off my big window. I wanna say one thing about
It's karma.
the director of the library. If anybody knows how to maintain cleanliness and keep things good and do everything well, it's Sharon Gilly. And it would be good if the school department and all the rest of the buildings took some lessons from her.
Good for you. Thank you, Phyllis.
May I throw something in as well? If anybody has any complaints about the new rubbish gig going on
Come
starting
see you.
today, yeah, tell them to swing by my house. But before they do that, have them call the DPW, because, they're only gonna be referred. I've only been referring people, so
Ah.
call the DPW if you have any complaints.
I know I
Got it.
get them all the time.
Tell me about it. So,
Well, today was the first day, so people
Yeah,
are complaining without
please,
having.
this is my
I went
point.
through it. It's pretty seamless.
Yeah.
It might be the first day, but they were putting it out in the trash last week.
Yeah, because they don't read directions. People also need to read directions
true.
and
So-
announcements.
On a
Okay.
good segue, we were lucky.
All right, your turn.
I'm surprised there was so much confusion since we had a code red phone call about the change
There
in
were no
trash
problems
collection. I know there was a lot of online chatter, water cooler chatter, email chatter. Steve and I have talked about it. Do you want to just, we're going to look into it, right? The idea, and just for people who don't know, when we use our code red system for, it's a great outbound calling system to get the word out to the town. It was intended, I think, for kind of emergency uses, that kind of thing. It happens to be a great communication tool. Okay, things like trash, the message is preceded with, this is a code red message from the town of Wakefield, which causes, I think, unnecessary alarm in people. But I think we're already well into
We're
resolving
looking
it.
into if that needs to be there at all.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right.
Because I think there is a issue, so we'll get back to you on that.
Yeah, so, no, thank you for looking into that. With that, I think I'm good for the evening, so I will entertain a motion from Betsy to do something.
You got it, so moved.
Betsy has moved that we
Second.
adjourn. It's seconded by Paul. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Did you score? Take the score.